What's going on, traders? Happy Thursday. Thank you guys so much for tuning back to the channel yet again today. But as normal, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into today's recap. So as you guys can see from the top left, right, I did want to make you guys aware that I am trading on a simulation account today, as I mentioned in the past few videos. And I will be trading on a simulation account to finish off the week tomorrow. But in terms of how I actually did today, as you guys can see, I did end green today finally, right? So it's my first green day of the week. And I was up $124. So that consisted of being up almost $200 on TQQQ, right? And I did take a $70 loss on SQQQ. And so these are my field orders. You guys can see I started trading right at market open, right at 6:30 about, and I stopped trading at 7:20. So I was trading for about 50 minutes today. Definitely more of a productive trading day today than it has been the past few weeks, or at least week for me, right? And so in terms of what I saw going on, right, as you guys can see, the NASDAQ had a ton of movement today. And so it's important to ask yourself, why was this movement occurring, right? And so if you guys were not aware, at 5:30 a.m. today, right, Pacific Standard Time, there was a CPI data report that came out, right, or the Consumer Price Index. And what it pretty much talks about, right, is where inflation is at in terms of consumer goods, right? And so as you guys can see from, this website chart actually, this lists the inflation rate and what it was at for, the respective time frame. And so what you guys can see is that in November, right, what was reported was 7.1%. And so the report that came out today was actually talks about all the inflation for December, right, for the month of December, since it is finally completed. And so we went from in November being reported 7.1% to now 6.5%. And so what was actually expected today was a 6.5% inflation rate. And so since that was reported, right, although we did see big movement, we ultimately did trade sideways throughout the day, right? So it's not like we were actively selling off or pushing up, right? And so 6.5%, did cause us to trade sideways, and there was still decent opportunity to make money today. And so what I saw going on was, 5:30, this thing was released. I was still, not even awake at that time. I didn't start trading till 6:30, right? So I missed all of this movement here. And so right at 6:30, the market peaked out, started to sell off, right? And I started to get into SQQQ. And so I ultimately was able to do a really good job of riding this thing down, right? And so I think within maybe 15 minutes of market open, right, or after market open, I was already up like $150 on SQQQ, right? So up 1.5% since I was using 10K. And what ended up ultimately happening, well, I thought we were going to continue to sell off, right, given how aggressive these red candles were. But that's not what ended up happening. This thing ultimately bounced, and I still had a heavy size, right, position right around these areas. So once this thing bounced and started to continue to push up, I made a horrible mistake of not, managing my position size when it was going south, right? So when it stopped going my way, what I should have done is really, cut majority of the shares as it started to changing directions very aggressively. But I didn't end up cutting losses until almost the peak. I kid you not, right? So I ended up bag holding it so much, thinking that this thing was gonna finally drop, that I literally sold out at one of these peaks. And ultimately it did end up pulling on back, but all of this profit I made on the way down, I ended up giving back up just because I was greedy, right? And ultimately rid this thing back up with almost a full position size. So that's a big mistake to definitely learn from, as you guys are trading. It's the fact that once direction is changing, you have to respect it, right? Because you can't just assume or predict that this thing's going to end up continuing to sell off the way, you think it will. Because, once I ended up cutting losses here, it ate back all the profit I made on the way down. When if I just, once I saw this thing start to bounce, started to really, sell majority of my position and then, completely get out once it broke above the EMA, then that would have made more sense rather than just ride a heavy position size up and give back everything I worked so hard to make right on the way down. So definitely a big lesson to learn for me today. I'm just really grateful that once I gave back all the profit on the way, up, I saw this thing fall, find a support level, try to form a higher low here, right? And ultimately, once I saw this nice momentum start to pick up, I got back into TQQQ and I was able to ride these nice candlesticks up, right? I saw we were approaching general resistance areas, so I cut majority of the shares there, right? I wasn't going to be hopeful anymore, and I ended up selling my final position right around this area, right around 720. So ultimately, right, I am very grateful that I was able to make back a lot of the profit that I lost just by being completely dumb, right, and not managing risk where I should have on this trade. But yeah, that's pretty much how my trading went. As you guys can see, this continued to trade sideways and ultimately, ended up closer to the top VWAP for the rest of the day. So that was nice to see because it did end up picking up a few of the swing trade stocks that I was in, right? They did end up rising, and as a result, the Nasdaq future did rise. So that was ultimately nice to see. As far as where we are, right, on the bigger time frame, we are looking pretty overextended on the Nasdaq now, right? Anytime we approach these general areas, we do tend to experience a nice correction in price. So we just need to follow up with it and see what happens, because as of now, we have been riding the EMA line up, right? It has been holding, so, I don't like to predict where something's going to reverse, right? I'm just making you guys aware that it is a bit more overextended at these levels, right? We've seen it get rejected around here, and so we are approaching these general resistance levels, as I mentioned, and so we just need to see what ends up happening, right? But I am excited to see what happens tomorrow. I will be posting a recap tomorrow, so I hope to see you guys all then. If you guys are new to the channel, we really do appreciate you dropping a like and subscribing. It really does help us out a lot. But other than that, that's pretty much everything. If you guys have any questions, want me to break down any stock or stock indicator, go ahead and drop a comment down below and I will be more than happy to do that for you. But that's pretty much everything. I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Take care.